Well, we're going to get started in about 60 seconds. And we'll go to the next slide. And I just want to welcome, I know we're expecting about 15 more people on, but I'm going to get started so that we can end on time. My name is Amy Bonus. Welcome, everybody. And I would also, if I don't know you, I'll be sending you this PowerPoint so you can read about our bios and also Irina's bios, who is our co-host and our guest speaker today, who will be talking about Siler City. Mebane, Irina and I have been working together for over 2 decades, and she is a divorce mortgage specialist. She is also has a kabillion letters behind her name and all the specialties, luxury and otherwise, negotiation in terms of helping people buy homes. We are going to be talking about some different areas, Mebane, Siler City, and there's one other area, Selma, that we're speaking about today. The history, the growth, the pros, the cons of these areas, what's going on, what makes them good investments or not. And we're just very privileged to have Irina on today. As you guys may know, she is an acclaimed author. She's written a few different books. And Irina, I am going to turn the workshop over to you in just a second. For you guys that are on the webinar today, again, welcome. If you're looking to buy a property, now is a very, very good time, a much better time than in a year from now. And I'll explain why throughout the course of the webinar today. But we have a very tight housing market. We have a lot of people moving to our area, and there is simply not enough supply for the demand in our area and in many parts of the country, but particularly here. The average rent around here, I looked it up the other day, in Wake Forest, it's about $2,000 a month. Irina, in Youngsville, it was $2,200 a month. It was actually higher in Youngsville than it was in Wake Forest. I didn't look everywhere, but I was curious about that. So I think you'll see that continue to be present, because as people are paying more money for homes, rents go up. And when you're not owning a home, the median net worth for an individual is $6,000. But when somebody owns a home, their net worth is 40 times that. And the reason that it's 40 times that is not just because they bought a house. About half of that net worth has to do with them buying a house. But the other half of the net worth has to do with people actually, not going out to Starbucks, not going out to dinner, like spending more time at home because they love their home, they're proud of it, and they like to cook there. They save more money. They become essentially, I don't know, more responsible or more aware maybe of money and frugality. And it's very interesting what happens. And so, and the stat is real. I looked it up, and it was in many places online in many different areas. When people buy properties, a lot of people think that you just make money when you sell the property. You buy the property and then you sell the property, and that's when you make money. That is called appreciation, but it's not just when you sell the property that you make money. It's sort of when you buy it, what you pay for it when you buy it. I know Irina can elaborate on that. You also make money if you happen to buy a property like we were talking about today. Some builders bought some properties. They actually tore them down and rebuilt them all and are selling them for a lot more money than what they bought them for. But you can do simple things like buy a property, spend $30,000 fixing it up, and increase the value by $80,000. So these are called value adds to property. You also make money. It's harder now to make money on these fix and flips, but some people still do that. Irina and I tend to believe in buy and hold, because you sort of can't go wrong with that. If you wait long enough, you've got a home run on that property.
And better tax advantages if you hold.
Yes, there is. There's tax advantages, which I have on here, as well as you paying down your principal every single month. And I think eventually you'll have cash flow. But a very important thing about buying real estate is it is something that truly builds generational wealth. More money has been made in real estate than all other industries combined. And so there's lots of ways to make money in real estate, but you can't make any money unless you invest in real estate. So I'm going to let Irina speak. I think, Irina, we're starting with Selma. Would it be okay if I sort of turned this over to you?
Yes, yes, please. And to add to the previous slide, also want to say that not only generational wealth, but also you get to experience something that you can do without actually saving the money your entire life. Like if you buy crypto, you buy gold, silver, you buy stocks, you have to put your own money that you saved. This is the leverage that you use to build this wealth. So this is so exciting because you can start at any age. You can start when you're a foreigner, like me, like I was. And so there is no waiting period. You really don't have a lot of people think that they need to save the money to start investing. Actually, you can leverage yourself, you know. And yes, we picked 3 cities to talk about today, and just to show you how I analyze certain areas that my clients might be interested in, or the areas that I think might be bringing a lot of good return on their investment. So, for example, today we're going to talk about Selma, Siler City, and Mebane. So Selma, I start with my, I wouldn't say least favorite one, but the one that we're still going to watch and see what's going to happen to this area. As you can see, this is the railroad town. It's kind of an old town, which is, you know, has its own appeal. This town, you know, as you can see, there was an inventor who was from this town that did the Wicks vapor rub, which is very interesting. Actually, I did not know that until I started researching. So it's located in Johnston County, and but when we look at the area, or the city, or the town, small towns now, because we're kind of sprawling now in real estate because a lot of things are very expensive. If we stay around the triangle, so the small towns started to boom, and we need to foresee what's going to happen in which direction now. And so when we look at the location, we look at the education, we look at the available jobs, the income of those people that live there, the growth, population growth, and of course the crime rate. And so this would be one of the cities that still need to work on their crime rate. So this one is only 30 minutes away from Raleigh, and southeast location, so kind of towards the beach. but it's still, you know, not so long to drive. It's actually better drive than going to another Johnston County city, which is Clayton. That one can take an hour and a half, depending on the traffic. So it's pretty busy over that way. So we seen the price increases on all the real estate everywhere in North Carolina. So I have not come across of anything that's going down, though a lot of our buyers always say, well, I will wait for the next turn when something is going to go down.
Well, that's just not going to happen anytime.
Well, and I explain it very easily. A lot of people just want to understand this, why I don't think that it will go down. I always question back, you know, how can it go down if insurance goes up, land goes up, all the building materials go up, labor goes up? How? The package that involves all of these services, people, and materials can go down, you know? I always say if the real estate goes down, we're doomed.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So this is a really easy way for you guys, if you come across of the area that you're interested, maybe investing, maybe you have a friend or family called you and said, oh, you need to look at this. So a lot of times people just rely on a phone calls they've got or some things they heard, but you can analyze the way we do it. So the first one will look, are there renters? Are people renting in that area? Are they interested, in something that you will be offering? And so in Selma, most residents are renters. And that's not necessarily a very good indication that that would be a good investment area. Because the next one you would want to look is the growth. Is the population growing? But also not only the population, is the economy for that particular city or area is growing? There are new companies coming in? Are there new jobs created, Are people relocating to that city? So the next one, of course, we'll look for something positive. So what in that city, in that area, this one has a country life still. So it hasn't been disturbed by all this nightlife or, busy roads or anything like that. Small town appeal is very nice, but then you come to the negative and you have to review the negatives, because positives are very easy to come up with, but the negatives are, we still don't see a lot of economical growth. There are no companies that are coming in at this time. Maybe they're in the works. We don't know that yet. So we watch in this area. And of course, the crime rate is still high. Now, also this residents that mostly rent. So in the income, we usually look at the average income that the population earns in this area. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it was around 20,000 a year. So these people would not be able to
30,
pay good prices.
It was a little bit higher. It was 32, but you're right, it's still very low.
No, 32 is Siler City. So this one was around 20. And so this one, people would not be able to pay you a decent, rate for your rental property. And so there might be a little trouble by other unforeseen things that happen in their lives. And, who knows, there would not be probably a very reliable renter in your house in the city. So, but the Siler City, that's the next one that we will review. And the Siler City, also a small city, also an old city, like the Selma, and was actually established in 1887, I like that, and also has something to do with railroads, as you can see the history. We're just looking at the business report slide.
Amy, your business report is up.
Okay. I apologize. Thank you, Madison. I was wondering, I'm like, where is she? I was like, where is she? Because I wasn't on Siler City, I was on Selma. Can you guys see Siler City
so that's
now?
great.
Okay,
so the previous city was in Johnston County, and this city is actually in Chatham County, right? And it has a really good school. So the education we'll look at, because it produces the educated force, professional force that can work for those companies that coming in. And so this is very important for us to know. Of course, this population has grown 75% since 1990s to 2016, and the job growth, they experienced the job growth as well. Wolf Speed is there already, so we have an employer, a stable, large employer, and the average medium income is 38,000. So for that city. And as you saw the chart that actually we skipped the chart that's going to show you the map. And on the map, Siler City is actually, it's kind of a transit.
Here's the map. I had it up on the screen.
Yes.
Can you guys see it okay?
Yes, I've seen it. I just didn't get to it yet. And you can see that Siler City is kind of a transit town to Ashboro. And the Ashboro is another star city that we expect in just a hint future. It's a little bit ahead of. So it's a next our incredible growth that we watch in the Ashboro, because there is a lot of things brewing there. The Highway 64 that Siler City sits on is being built, and in Chatham County is just just booming. So we can go to the next slide. Obviously, there is a big growth that area experienced. It's actually huge growth they're experiencing. The Chatham County is just on steroids, so that's very good. And now we can go to pros and cons. So how we analyze this Siler City area, for example. We would, we look at the growth. So the jobs are there, they're created, the growth is there. It's a very nice, appealing kind of small town. I really like it personally. I've had several clients there to shop for a nice properties with like 10 acres, 5 acres, small houses. So they're very picturesque, like kind of rolling hills and nice ponds and small lakes. So it's very beautiful. So it's very friendly community. It's very small community. And as you can see, at the same time, they have a industry in there that can support the these people that's working there and getting paid and can rent from you. So the only if the only negative that I would look at is the nightlife. But that's okay. They can always drive back to, Apex, Cary, and Raleigh, and that would not be too big of a trouble. So another interesting thing that we did not look at the slide on Selma. Selma actually had quite, in my opinion, a high price point of about $300,000 for the new homes and 1,600 square feet, but the rents were very low. Like in Siler City, the most that you can get is about $1,300, for 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathrooms. Now, as you can see, in Siler City is actually a hint for me that something is going to be happening very soon. And so my investors are looking at Siler City because look at this. They building there, the builders, they do a lot more, they invested a lot more in the research and the development, and they build in 4,000 plus square feet homes for millions of dollars, and so the average 1,900 square feet home is 369. And if we're gonna go to the next slide, they actually renting for about 1,800. 1,600 for a smaller square footage, 1,400 square feet. So not a stellar kind of return on the investment, but long term, we're just watching this right now, and this is high on my list, for my investors at this point. And of course, my favorite one now, Mebane. My church is actually there. Maria is there. So Mebane is in kind of split between the Orange County and Elements County. And when we look at the resale homes, and the investors also very much like to see the Orange County, just because it has one of the best schools and, very prestigious. This is the oldest city from, Mebane, from the three that we're reviewing. And they actually call it sometimes as a sleeping neighborhood for the Greensboro area. So, but I love Mebane. So there is a lot of things going on in Mebane. It's growing. It has a lot of industries coming in. It's actually it was nominated as the great place to live in Elements County, right? One of the top, number 2, actually, best place to live in Elements County. It has a picturesque whole river. There is a lot of, greenways and a lot of really nice parks. So this is interesting. The livability rating at 74, which is 85% higher and better than any and most areas in North Carolina. So I love that. And so we can go back and see, we can go next and see the pros and cons of, of course, there is infrastructure is coming. There is a lot of homes being built. There is a new communities popping up everywhere. We've been selling and helping our investors to actually benefit from the growth and have a really, really healthy cash flow. So, this is another company. So they're growing quite a bit. They're offering a lot of jobs. The pay is good. They're located, as you can see, right between the, Hillsborough and Greensboro. So on the way to Greensboro, closer to Hillsborough. It's only about 15-20 minutes when I drive from Hillsborough to Mebane. Prices are going up. They're not as as heading up as in some other areas. So it's really still very good for our investors because we looked at some new neighborhoods and sold some at the beginning of the year. And last year we had pre-sales in Mebane, and the prices didn't go that much higher in 6 to 8 months. So, but the rents are very healthy. So this is kind of a sweet spot on the map for me and my investors. So now let's look at pros and cons. And of course, close to Greensboro is a big deal. It's very close to Hillsborough. It's nicely conveniently located to Chapel Hill as well. Livability, of course, it's a very beautiful, nice community to live. They even have the EV car chargers. So electric car chargers have a place to fuel up their growth. They're experiencing a lot of growth, and with the commercial real estate, with the companies coming in, with the people moving into the area, and of course there is a lot of shopping, entertainment, indoor outlets are there. So this is all very important when we look at the positives in the reasons that we would want to invest in the area. If I have to point out one negative, it's not so walkable. So you do need to have a car to go around Mebane. So yes, in Mebane, I brought this example of 1,600 square feet. It's all one range style home that you can build there for about $340. And if you think about it, that, after putting 20-25% down payment on your investment property, your mortgage is going to be like about $270-$280. And so the next slide, I think, it shows that on average, we tell our investors that it can be rented for about $1,900 per month. We actually got over $2,000, close to $2,400 for the house. So when we analyze the investment, we give you a very, very realistic numbers, like we under promise and then over deliver. So the real house that we actually built was $315,000, and the real rent that we got for the house, exactly as pictured on this pic, is actually $2,400 per month. So our client is very happy.
And that's like significantly more than the other two areas we've been talking about today.
Yes, absolutely. And there is enough people to be able to pay and be very good renters. A lot of qualified workers, educated workers there. So you have very reliable rental force in here. So yeah. And this is, the example that we just went over, and the pros and cons, yes, for Mebane.
Okay. And then here's the growth rate. It looks like a little bit more aggressive than the other two areas as well.
It's growing, yeah. Yeah, because a lot of, new workers coming in to service the new companies in there.
Okay, let's see if there's any additional slides that you want to put in here. Let's see. Well, Irina, I know that, this is sort of a tough market to get people's offer accepted, and you've been wildly successful over the last 20, 30 years in getting people's offer accepted. Could you share with the group today, in your opinion, what it takes to get your offer accepted in this market?
I tell you, the number one reason, listen to your realtor because they will know who to work with, what institution to go, what kind of loan and what kind of letter, what the letter needs to state for that particular seller you're working with. It's two different markets if you work in a new construction or you work in a resale. So those are very important points, and a good experienced realtor will tell you, okay, we need to go there, we need to do this letter, we need to maybe apply for a conventional loan versus, your FHA or VA, because there are certain things that seller is looking for, and your realtor will know that. Also, to have a mortgage lender pre-approval, I always tell my buyers, because sometimes they go, well, I bank here, I have a state employee credit union, I'm in the Bank of America, whatever, and they just gave me a letter. I just called them. They didn't ask me all these things Amy is asking about. And I always say, well, because garbage in, garbage out. And then when you put all your due diligence, huge due diligence amount down, they tell you, oh, wait, we didn't check that there was a bonus, so you're not working working the full time, or we did not look at your taxes. Sorry. And then Amy has to fix all of this. Sorry.
Love that garbage in, garbage out. That's
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
So true.
And then people always like, she's asking so many things. Chris is asking for this and that. He's calling me every day. I was like, be happy because you're not gonna lose your due diligence deposit, or deposit with the builder. You're gonna close. You're not gonna delay your closing date and pay the penalties. I mean, this is so important. I actually sometimes have to put my foot down and say, no, I'm not gonna work with you because I can't go through this roller coaster of we're closing, we're not closing, we're doing it. Plus, it creates a really bad reputation for the realtor. What do I not know what to do? Because the seller next time will be like, well, your buyers are not closing. So we have to make sure that our client listens to you listen to your experienced realtors. They have the team of people, reliable ones that actually work. Yes, they're going to ask you questions. They will require the documents, but that's for your best, goal, to not create the masses and not to lose the money at the end. So pre-approval, of course, it's a must, not pre-qualification, because you have to verify all the documents, all the income, all the debts, everything to make sure that it's going to happen for you, that the money will work. Clean offer, yes, there is certain things that we don't want to ask from the seller, or sometimes we absolutely have to ask the seller. And your realtor will do the back search analysis and see what the previously that builder or that seller or that area was accepting and doing and where the trends are, and they change. And now it's actually a whole lot more work for me. In the past, I would know, okay, the next 5 to 7 years, this is the trend, this is what we're doing. We don't have to, I can kind of give you the answer. Now people call me and I go, let me check, like almost daily. I mean, the things changing so fast, not only in the government, in real estate too. So strong due diligence, yes, sometimes we have to give them what they're asking. A lot of times I can negotiate, we can make some arrangements. So always, we can, make a plan. That's why I like to strategize. When you decide to invest, we need a strategy. We cannot just go in any direction. You just heard from the neighbor, from the coworker, from anybody. No, that strategy needs to be targeted to you only. And you will have a certain income, certain debts, certain goals, certain time frame. It's all creates in certain areas that you want to work in, So, and certain abilities. Do you want to deal with students? Do you want to deal with I don't know, multifamily? What kind of tenant can you handle? Will you be managing your property yourself or not? So there are so many things. And we can go over it in your private consultation. So that's the best. Closing quickly and on time is very important for the sellers and for you because it doesn't cost you extra. Of course, sometimes we have contingencies. Sometimes we have to remove those contingencies. A lot of times it's just inspections that we may forego. And of course, I will guide you how to make the best offer to be accepted as soon as possible so that they don't shop your offer, meaning, try to get a better offer using your offer, saying we've got multiple offers. So
thank you. Thank you. And, when we do get you pre-approved, as Irina said, we don't want there to be any surprises. So we hear all the time, well, we didn't need that. Well, you didn't get pre-approved then, you got pre-qualified. We're actually issuing you an approval letter. So if there's anything that's like maybe won't work, we will find out about that before you risk anything, before you put your heart on the line to make an offer, and before you give money to the seller, because that's really
fundable.
It's really heartbreaking when that happens. So we want you to win. We want you to be the best that you can be. Sometimes we have buyers that are not quite ready to buy, and we coach them. We do home buying coaching or wealth building coaching for our clients as just, and also we do pre-approve you. But the looking at your debts and building a financial strategy is just what we really love to do. And what Irina said, you have to have a plan. It's just sort of a natural thing that we do. Irina, I wanted to ask your opinion. I sometimes hear like people say, well, I'll just wait until rates come down to buy. What do you think is going to happen in your experience in the next year or two in real estate?
Wait. I'm looking for my crystal ball. And so here's what it's saying, that I recommend that we buy now because we have less people competing for the properties, because once the interest rate, which we're hoping is going to fluctuate next year a little bit, and people will either rush to refinance or they will rush to buy. Hopefully you will be in the refinancing crowd, because right now you have a better opportunities, a little slower market, less to give due diligence. You don't maybe even have to overpay. We still see offers coming in above asking price in certain areas, but the builders are a little softer. Some will give you appliances, there is not a line right now, a big long line where you have to put up $50,000 to $100,000 above asking price. So the next year might be an opportunistic year, but if the rate goes down just by a little bit, like you said, what did you look up? 5 million buyers on the sidelines waiting to buy?
Right.
Oh God.
Right. So if rates go down 1 percentage point, 5 million buyers are coming into the market, and we still have the same supply,
Yeah.
but now we
So
have
if you qualify, you better off doing it now, a purchase, and then sit and wait for the best refinancing opportunity.
Mhm.
That would be the excellent
I
strategy.
agree. And that's also how you make money, is when we alluded to this in the beginning, that you make money when you buy real estate. Not people think it's when you sell it, it's what you pay for it, right? And so if there are less people now, because some people cannot afford to buy a house right now. They've gotten so used to 2% and 3% rates. They get used to having their credit card rates really low. And now they can't even make their credit card payments. So they cannot afford to buy a house. But if you can, this is where you can make money. And even if the country goes into a recession, look what happens with prices in a recession, right? Recession, all the dark columns here are recessions. The only time in history when home prices did not go down, up during a recession, is right here in 2008. And why did that happen? It was because there was so much inventory. There was 4 million homes on the market then. Now there is only 1 million homes, and out of that, 40% are under contract. So you have a lot less homes on the market now. That's why they don't feel that home prices are going to go down. They forecast them to continue to rise. That's what they are saying, and that's what Irina is also saying. Some of our clients own their homes just outright. They own their homes outright. And if you do own your primary home outright, you guys, that is a really cheap way to finance an investment property, is that you can take cash out of your home, and that's actually cheaper than you buying an investment property, putting money down. You would actually have less closing costs. So that's called equity repositioning, and we can talk to you about that. As Irina alluded, you're not marrying the interest rate. Like, we are going to do a refinance for you, and we do no closing cost refinance on primary residence. Irina mentioned to you about thinking about, if you were managing your property or you were going to have somebody manage it. That's something for, food for thought. If there are any first-time buyers on our call today, I want to let you guys know that this is probably the best first-time buyer program that I've ever come across in 30 years in the business. The North Carolina Housing is giving you a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money to buy your first home. And we have people that have 10% down that are still using this program. And the reason, you guys, that they're using this program is because the government, North Carolina Housing, is essentially sort of subsidizing your mortgage payment. They're giving you this money. It's lowering down your loan amount. You are getting a below market interest rate which is awesome. I mean, it's way below the going market rate without paying points and points and points, like $10,000 for the money. And your loan amount is lower because they're giving you this $15,000. We have some people taking this $15,000 to make it like a total of 15 or 20% down payment, and they're avoiding the mortgage insurance on their loan. And then you just, pay it back when you sell the house. There's no interest, there's no monthly payment. There's also this other new program, 1% down, buy a house with no PMI. You do not have to be a first-time buyer to get this program. In fact, Chris, I don't know if you want to chat about the other 2%. Is that 2%? Because it's a 3% down payment program, Chris. When we give that 2% to the buyer, so they come in with 1 and we give them 2, it's a total of 3%. What happens to that 2%? Do they pay that back?
No, absolutely not. The 2% is actually a grant, a forgivable grant. So you have a 3% down payment, but 2% of that is given to you or given to the buyer as a forgivable grant. You don't have to pay it back. It's just free money.
Right. And what about a purchase price max on this?
Purchase price max. I am unsure of the purchase price max.
It's $350.
There you go, $350.
That's the only, I would say, disadvantage to this program, Irina, is that you're dealing with a maximum of $350 sales price.
Not in Siler City, in Selma.
Right.
I can make it happen.
That's exactly right.
No, there are some other areas that I would discuss with my buyers that I absolutely love. They're close to Falls Lake, so yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So these programs exist, and we would love to talk with you about getting approved and not buying, because if you buy a house today, you guys, on the front end of what's happening, then when interest rates drop, all these people are going to come out of the woodwork because there's so much pent up demand. And you could be making so much money within a short time period if you buy at the front end of it versus if you buy at the back end of it, which is sort of like a sort of herd of cows, right? They just follow along. Okay, don't follow along. Be a leader and step out, and do it now, because this is where you're going to make the money, at the front end of what's going to happen, not the back end. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Irina or us. Okay, you can do that at any time. I guess the next step would be, Irina, for them to get pre-approved, right?
Yes, pre-approval is the most important, because only after I get the financials from Amy's team, I can lead you in the right direction, because we will have something to talk about. Not all the housing, for example, all the sellers accept to qualify for VA or FHA. And also we need to have a solid numbers to calculate your ROI, return on the investment. So yes, please get pre-approved. That's number one. We have a lot of buyers right now in queue doing that. And then so after that, the step number 2 is meeting me and designing your specific investment plan. It will be yours, and you will achieve your goals and not your neighbors, your co-workers, or whoever else.
Amy, we do have a question.
Awesome. What do we have, Chris?
Laura wants to know, probably regarding the 1% program, how does the buyer not pay PMI?
Chris, you want to answer that?
Well, because this particular program, the mortgage insurance is part of the loan package as a first-time home buyers package. They have actually incorporated it into the loan, so you don't have to pay any mortgage insurance. It's zero mortgage insurance. Right. So it's just no mortgage insurance.
Well, you're paying a little bit higher interest rate, but the payment itself is actually lower because the net value of it, all these programs, you guys, there's so many of them. There's so many ways to skin a cat, right? We had a buyer last week get this program, and they actually used part of the money, in essence, to sort of pay off a credit card. I mean, you can't do that. They're actually coming in with their own cash to pay down their credit card, but they were able to do that and get a below market rate by getting this $15,000 program. So, we will, when we talk to you, these special programs are for primary residences. So Irina has been teaching a strategy for many years where you buy a property, you move into it, and you live there for a while. And then, you got into that property with a lower down payment and a better interest rate and a lot less closing costs. And then you rent that property and then you buy another property. And you can do that a few times if you do it strategically. Irina is outstanding at putting together a strategy, a wealth building strategy. That's what we do. So we'd love to talk with you guys about it. Are there any other questions before we depart for today? Irina, do you want to say anything before we say goodbye?
Yes, you guys, you have until the end of December to make all the good choices. Because remember, your closing costs could be tax deductible. So, and then there is always a segregation study you can do on your investment properties and kind of push all that tax advantages up front and don't have to wait 27.5 years. So talk to us.
Irina, isn't it true also that there's less people buying in November and December in general? And then you have less
celebrating. Yes, this is your opportunity. This is when we have less competition. We do have less properties to choose from, but we have less competition. We have a lot of specials going on because certain builders push their products. They need to close their books. They need to get something off their books. This is the time, when I stay very busy.
We do have one additional question from Maria. Rod Korninko, how to prepare for inevitable U.S. crisis or even depression, considering attempts to convert all funds to CBDC. Maria, you want to clarify a little bit what the question is?
We're not expecting a depression in our country at all.
The only time you lose if you sell. So, I mean, I went through 2 market turns with all of my investment properties and did not lose anything just because, you buy it correctly, you have a good strategy. It's long-term strategy because we're not doing flip and fix. I mean, we can, but everybody has their own strategy. If you strategize correctly, you don't lose. I mean,
I think, the chances of a depression are probably like a fraction of a percent. Nobody's talking about a depression. The only depression that we've had in our country is in the 1920s. We had a great recession, and they're talking about a very soft landing recession this time. So this will be a mild recession. In fact, we are at the opposite end of that right now. I agree that our country and that the world has many problems, like many problems. The world in general is a lot different than what it was 20 years ago, but that doesn't affect real estate. You still have the basic supply and demand issues. If you want to, like the average rent is $2,000, $2,100 a month. So you are paying a mortgage. You're just, unfortunately, you're not paying yours. You're just paying your landlords. But Ron and Maria, feel free to reach out and we can set up a strategy session. But there's really nothing pointing to a strong recession or depression in America anyway. I don't know about other places in the world, but not here. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Please reach out to us. Irina, it's always a pleasure.
Yes,
thank you for bringing all of your knowledge. We love you. You guys have a great day. We will be in touch. Chris will be calling each one of you.
Yes, thank you guys for visiting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.